Hi there, everybody. I'm Lucie Arnaz. Don't go anywhere because Profiles will be coming right up.
Welcome to Profiles. I'm Desi Sanchez. Today's guest is actress, singer, and producer Lucie Arnaz, daughter of Hollywood legends Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. Over the course of her career, Lucie has performed the opening number on the Academy Awards in the 80s and performed at the White House several times. She was also the executive producer of the I Love Lucy 50th Anniversary Special, which was nominated for an Emmy. After a short break, we'll join our host, Mickey Burns, as he welcomes the versatile Lucie Arnaz to Profiles. Welcome back to Profiles. I'm Desi Sanchez. Lucie Arnaz began her show business career at age 12 on her mom's TV series, The Lucy Show, back in 1963. Since then, she's done just about everything in show business, including acting, producing, and singing. Her latest CD, titled Latin Roots, is an eclectic celebration of her musical heritage. So let's join our host, Mickey Burns, on location from the Hotel Wells in the heart of New York City as he welcomes Lucie Arnaz to Profiles.
Lucie Arnaz, welcome to our show Profiles.
My pleasure. Thanks, Mickey.
It's an honor to meet you, and also for our viewers, you're an actress, you're a singer, and you're a producer. But you're also the daughter of Hollywood legends Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. For our viewers, I Love Lucy evolved into the most popular and beloved sitcom in TV history. But interestingly, you were born, I read, the year I Love Lucy premiered.
That's right. Don't look it up.
What year that is. And I was surprised to learn that you made your television debut at 12 years old,
right,
on The Lucy Show.
The Lucy Show.
Why did you not make some appearances on the I Love Lucy Show prior to that?
Well, I was just a baby. I was, like you said, I was born the year that they went on the air, and
Yeah.
I was home growing up. And I mean, to be 11 or 12 and be on one of those shows is ridiculous enough.
Yeah.
It was really just, it was something that was fun to do. I was at that age where I was play acting in the backyard, and my mother wanted to give me a shot, you know, see if you wanted to have some fun, see if you could learn the lines. It was hard, too, because I played a soda jerk, and I had to catch these sodas as they went sliding down the bar and not miss one and put it on a tray. I remember how nervous I was. And I think I was 11 and a half. Yeah. It was a good experience.
Prior to that, what was your childhood like growing up as Little Lucy, as what you were known as back then?
You know, just like anybody else's, except I had working parents.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't anything special about growing up where I grew up, really, except for the fact that my folks both worked.
And were famous?
But that really didn't affect,
You weren't even aware of it?
Not really, no.
Huh. Do you think it was difficult for them, not for you, but for them to raise a family while producing a major TV show?
Absolutely.
And also running a major TV studio, I might add.
Absolutely. It must have been horrific.
I can't imagine.
And if you think about it, in the 50s, you know, it was very uncommon for both parents to be working, especially the mother. So there must have been a lot of guilt involved with that,
Thanks
too.
for reminding
you know?
us.
So you're not home enough, and so she took it very, you know, seriously when she would come home and try to make up for all the stuff that she hadn't done while she was at work. And so there was a lot of tension with that. And that's the only thing that was hard, really, about it, because they didn't live a celebrity kind of life, and I didn't have to deal with any of that.
Yeah. Is it true that growing up you lived next door to Jack Benny?
Lived next door to Jack Benny and Jimmy Stewart on the other side, and Rosie Clooney down the road, and
Wow.
Steve March and Hal March and all these wonderful people on that street.
Yeah. Who were some of the other show business icons that were regular visitors in your home back then?
Not many. No, she didn't hang out with those folks. When she, like I said, they worked really, really hard. They were almost never home. So when they came home, they were trying desperately to just relax and be with us.
And have
Thank God.
And do the family
and
thing.
once in a blue moon there would be, I remember a couple of parties where, like Carol Burnett had a baby shower. And there were some celebs that came to that, men and women. And once or twice when she was married to Gary, he would invite some of the comedians over because my stepfather, Gary Morton, was a comic, and he used to hang with Jan Murray and Bob Hope and Milton Berle and these guys, Jack Carter. When I was really little and we would spend the summers with my dad, there was a lot more music and people that I think now as being celebrities, but I didn't know it then. You know, Jimmy Durante and Sammy Fain and Sammy Cahn and Burt Bacharach and these guys that hung out at the track. Yeah. And they would come over to our house afterwards and play the player piano for real, you know, without the rolls, and sing their stuff. And that's where I probably learned everything that I love about music.
Picked up a lot of it.
Yeah,
I did want to mention that your dad passed in '86. Yes. Mom passed '89. Loved by millions, both of them. Reflecting back, you said this. You said, I knew from the day I was born that her death would never be private. Yeah. I thought that was interesting. And you went on to say, in one sense, her passing was easier because the whole world was mourning with me. It was like having the largest funeral in the world.
And my mother hated funerals, so we tried not to have one, but we had 3 memorials around the country on the same day, on Monday night, at 9 o'clock in each various town, because that's when I Love Lucy used to be on. And it was open to the public, and they sold out in all these churches here in New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. But she didn't want a funeral. She said, I can't stand that. And she never used to go to funerals. And my father had a very private ceremony, sort of the same thing, in Del Mar, California, where he lived. Yeah. But yeah, you know, in a way, I remember saying that, and then years later I thought, I don't know, I think I was being polite when I said that, because truthfully, it took me years to really mourn, because I was taking care of all the rest of the world who was so upset that they had lost Lucy. That was what's so funny about it. It was kind of weird, and I thought, well, that's the weirdness of this show. It was almost like they lost an arm, you know. And
you lost a mom.
Yeah, but I understood.
Over the years, also, interestingly, I read that you worked hard to preserve your family's legacy.
You know what? It's like a necessity. There are people out there who want to pirate images, and so you almost are forced to create a business to say no. And so if you say, well, it's going to cost all this money to hire the lawyers to say no, you might as well do a few things to say yes, to pay for the lawyers to say no. So we created a business called Desi Lou 2, T-O-O, years ago, my brother and I. And it's turned into a real business, and we have, you know, wonderful things that help people remember them and all of that jazz. And then you have to say yes and no to film clips. But the stuff that I've done has always been through necessity. Even when I did the documentary, which I was proud of and won an Emmy, I was thrilled to do that. But I started it not because I woke up one morning and said, oh, I want to do a whole thing on my parents. Not at all. I had seen this dreadful CBS movie that they did right after my mother's death.
Yeah, you didn't like that. Yep.
And I thought, well, that's so unfair. There must be more story out there about them that's true. And if you want to tell all the dirt, tell the dirt, but see if you can figure out why. It's just awful. It was just an awful thing. And so I started interviewing people like you're doing. I sat down with people who knew them. And anyway, 3 years later, I had all this film. And then I thought, well, okay, I don't know what I'm doing with it, but I guess maybe it's a documentary. I don't know. And I edited a documentary. And it became this whole thing. But I didn't start out to do that. So it's weird.
It evolved to do
Yeah, and I don't feel like this is what I'm here to do, is to preserve their legacy. God, give them a break already.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I wanted to go another direction also.
Good.
Let's talk a little bit about your show business career.
Okay.
Because you've done just about everything as an actor, singer, and a producer. And you have a new show and a new CD.
Yeah.
And that show and that CD is called Latin Roots. Yes. And you said of it, you said, these are the rhythms of my soul.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Well, it's true. I mean, I didn't realize until after my father passed away, and I found some old cassette tapes that someone had sent him of his original Desi Arnaz Orchestra live performances or radio shows, like they used to do a radio show from Ciro's when he would do Ciro's. And I had heard a lot of his music on the I Love Lucy show, but I hadn't heard the original charts of some of these songs. Oh my God, 16-piece band and songs that he never did on the show. And I just fell in love with this stuff. And it was just, oh my God, I couldn't sit still. And I thought, this is weird, because I'm on Broadway now, and I'm making movies, and I have TV series. And I suddenly said, no, this is where I belong. This is where I live. And I really wanted to have a nightclub act. And all the people who handle you tried to talk me out of it.
Really?
Oh, no, you don't want to do a nightclub act. It's the whole of show business. You don't want to do that. It'll cost you a fortune. And no one's doing that anymore. And I said, well, yeah, but I do want to do it. So they wouldn't help me at all. They did not lift a finger to help me do this. And all of a sudden, you know how they say if you tell the universe what you want, be specific, stuff starts to fall into place?
Sure.
Swear to God, about 2 months later, I had an offer to do a whole show, like a 90-minute show honoring Irving Berlin for his 100th birthday.
Yeah.
And they gave me a little tiny chunk of money to come to Italy, of all places, to Palermo, Sicily, and do this show. And I grabbed at it because I thought this is an opportunity for me to learn how to do a club act. It's just, now you're playing Lucie Arnaz singing other people's music, right? You're not in a show, you're not in a Broadway show. We did it, and when we did the rehearsal for it, all those handlers came and saw it and said, "This is great, can we book you at like Harrah's and Tahoe and, you know, Trump's?" And
now you had a runaway train. You had a runaway train.
So, but it happened, and then that was 22 years ago, and I've been doing club acts and nightclubs and concerts ever since.